Inspiring interviews with today's top landlords. This is the Rental Income Podcast. And now, Dan Lane.
Greg, you've got a really interesting strategy for the way that you're managing your rental income and really your income in general. Tell us what you're doing.
I'm at the point now where the cash flow from the rentals is about equivalent to my income, when I used to work in W-2. And so I can live off of the rentals, but I would not be growing and, I would be pretty stagnant, right? And I couldn't accomplish more. I couldn't do anything more. So I work flipping houses so that I can continue buying more rentals and growing my income.
That is such a great strategy. Greg is able to pay all of his bills with his rental income, and he works so that he can generate more capital to continue to build his portfolio. On the show today, we're going to figure out exactly how Greg got to this point and learn more about how everything is working with his portfolio. Joining us on the show today from Hawaii is Greg Gaudet. We'll take a really quick break to thank our sponsors. We'll come right back and we'll talk to Greg. If you're looking for a quick and easy way to finance a rental property, reach out to Chaley Ridge from Ridge Lending Group. She has a loan program where she only cares about your deal. She doesn't need to see your pay stubs, your bank statements, or your tax returns. The only thing she's going to look at is the deal. She wants to know, does the property cash flow? If it does, she'll give you a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. Now, the rates are going to be a little bit higher than a full doc loan, but it's still a great deal. She can close quickly, and there's no hassle. If you want to learn more, reach out to Chaley personally at ridgelendinggroup.com. That's RIDGE lendinggroup.com, NMLS 42056. A good deal on a rental property isn't going to last very long. To win properties today, you need to move quickly when a deal comes on the market, but it takes time to analyze a property. I want to let you know about an app where you can analyze deals on your phone in seconds. It's called Ask Rick, that's RIC for Rental Income Calculator. You can analyze a deal with the push of a button. You can figure out the rent, your mortgage payment, your expenses, and figure out the cash flow. If the numbers make sense, you can make an offer right there on the app, or you can send a calendar invite to your agent to see the property in person. Ask Rick is currently offering a free 7-day trial. Just search for Ask Rick in the App Store or go to Just Ask Rick. That's RIC, justaskrick.com.
Rental Income Podcast.
Greg, so you've got a really interesting strategy, and I love this, and I want to make sure I got this right. So you don't spend the money that you make flipping houses, that money just goes right back into investing to buy more rentals?
That's right. Yeah. Well, before it goes into buying rentals, it goes to Uncle Sam, of course.
Oh, right. Of course. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
But I'm pretty disciplined with setting aside what I need to. But yeah, basically that money just goes straight and just saves up, build it up till I have enough to buy a rental and create more cash flow.
So then you use that money to buy rentals. The rentals generate cash flow, and that cash flow that the rentals generate, that's what's paying your bills every month.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know, what I love about your strategy, and I really think that's great, but I feel like it's really easy for people to fall into lifestyle inflation, that you start making more money, and next thing you know, you've got a new car or you've got a better house. But the way that you're doing things, that's never going to happen. Like you're as long as you can keep living on your rental income, you're never going to kind of expand or be spending too much money.
Well, I have kind of splurged a little bit on the cars.
Okay.
I'm a car guy. And so I have bought a couple of cars, but, in full disclosure, I bought them below market value. I got really good deals on them. So, and I'm going to rent, getting ready to, since I just bought my second car, I'm going to rent one of them out. And I think it's actually going to make like a 40% return. So,
okay.
But yeah, I try really hard not to fall for the lifestyle inflation.
Sure. So then with the cash that you're saving, like when you flip a house and you come into a chunk of money, what do you do with that cash before you, like, say if you're waiting for a deal or maybe you don't have quite enough money, what do you do with that cash?
Nothing. I move it into another bank account. First, exactly what happens is, we closed a flip yesterday. And so I got paid $71,000. I haven't done this yet, but the first thing I'll do is I'll transfer probably 25,000 to my another, I have a bank account for tax savings. So that'll go straight there so that when tax time comes, I don't even have to think about, like, I know I've got enough set aside. The rest of it will stay in my business account. So it just sits there in the bank, which I've been kind of wanting to find something better to do with it since a lot of times it could be like right now, I haven't bought a rental in a year almost. So, because I just haven't had a good enough deal.
Yeah.
And I don't want to just buy a house just to buy a house.
Sure.
Although I'm getting pretty antsy, but I am looking for some way to kind of park my money and, have it at least like secure, but not losing value while I'm, building it up to buy the next rental.
I would say that's probably the toughest thing because you put it in the bank, you're not really making much interest today. But if you put it into the stock market or something else where maybe you could make more money, you run the risk that if the market drops, now maybe, and you come across a good rental deal, you maybe won't have the money that you need.
Yeah. And you could be like selling at a loss in order to buy this rental. And
so are you buying rentals with cash or do you use the money for down payments?
I've bought rentals with cash, but and being, I live in Maui, Hawaii. And so it's a pretty expensive market. Our median home price is about $1 million to 1.2 or 1.1 million. So I definitely don't have that much cash.
Yeah, right.
But I've certainly bought some of I have a lot of like kind of lower end entry level condos that I have bought for cash.
Okay.
I've bought some for 30,000, 50,000, up to 80,000. And then all the rest of them, I've used the cash as a down payment.
Okay.
And for renovations.
So tell me about your portfolio. Like, what have you bought so far?
Yeah. So I have 7 condos and 1 house. 6 of those 7 condos are in the same complex, which is anybody that was, on Maui or has lived on Maui will know the complex I'm talking about. It's a kind of very low end. It's thought of like, nobody wants to go there sort of thing, but it serves a purpose. There are people that just need housing and they don't care. And so we do a lot of Section 8 rentals there, and it's kind of a win-win because I'm helping people and I feel like I'm doing something good. But I'm doing it profitably. And I've bought right there also. So I have a lot of equity too. And, it didn't, it's because of the lower price end, it doesn't realize the same amount of appreciation as, say a beach house in Kihei, ocean town, beach town. But recently it has had a nice little uptick. So when I was first buying them, they were selling around the 90 to 100,000 range. I was buying them around 70,000. Now they're selling, we've got a couple of them in 230, and 200 to 230 range. So I think we're getting closer to about 200 being the average sales price. So it's gotten some good appreciation.
Now, you really seem to like buying condos. Why do you like condos?
I know all the guys. I know all the resident managers, the property managers, I know all the complexes. And I just kind of I understand condos pretty well. Mm-hmm. I also serve on the Condominium Council of Maui, the board. And we educate people on condo, how to run associations. So it's just my world. It's my background.
Okay.
And it was because when I was getting started, all I could afford was this, $70,000 condo. But now I am more interested in buying more houses.
One thing that always freaks me out a little bit with condos is the condo fee. That you don't have a lot of control over it, and it typically goes up every year. Does it concern you that the condo fee could slowly eat away at your cash flow?
No, because first off, like you can choose to get involved if you want to, so you can have a say. I believe that increasing maintenance fees is healthy. And I actually, again, at Harbor Lights, I used to be on the board there. And I was the only one on the board that pushed to increase maintenance fees because, we have inflation and it's an aging building. We need to, have that plan for the future. And anybody that was worried about, oh, what if I'm going to lose money if our maintenance fees go up $50 or something. It's like, well, you obviously didn't plan your investment right.
Right.
Like I have the margin to cover an increase in maintenance fees, and I'm okay with that. I'd much rather give up that margin today at $50, a month or something, than keep trying to pretend like there's not a problem and eventually have to increase it $250 a month or something crazy like that.
I guess the other thing too, I think with the condo is as the owner, you're only responsible for the inside. So like with like all the common area or, any kind of maintenance to the building, that's all on the condo fee. And I guess you're going to have maintenance for any building, whether it's a house that you own or a condo. So you're going to be spending that money one way or the other.
The maintenance fees really are similar to the capital expenditure because I'm factoring capital expenditure on any property I'm buying anyway. So when I'm looking at a condo, I don't have to factor capital expenditure. Now, maintenance fees are going to be a lot higher, but they don't just include capital expenditure. They also include lawn care, pool care, site manager, security, like all these extra things. So, and you're getting value, your tenant is getting value for those things.
Sure.
So can you charge a higher rent because there is a, 24-hour security? It's debatable. Generally, yeah, you should be able to. But in any case, it's to me, and I really don't care about the maintenance fee as long as the numbers work, right? Like our maintenance fee at Harbor Lights is almost $600 a month. I don't care because I make over almost $700 a month in cash flow on some of the units. So
okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And then I guess with a condo, you've got a smaller footprint. So, I mean, right, because they're not that big, right? So if you have to paint, it's not going to cost you as much as if you had to paint a single family house, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Especially, some of these buildings, a lot of buildings on Maui are concrete. They're CMU buildings. A lot of people like to call it hollow tile. And so it's just a concrete box, you slap paint on your vinyl floors, get some Lowe's, some cabinets from Lowe's, and they're pretty quick and easy, and they're kind of bulletproof. Aside from the plumbing, all the plumbing is, 40 years old now. So it's all collapsing and failing. But you just replace it when you renovate.
Now, when I was first starting to buy rentals, a lot of people were trying to be helpful and telling me not to do it because I think they were looking out for me, but they were giving me bad advice by telling me not to buy rentals because buying rentals, I think, was the greatest thing I ever did. Did anyone try to talk you out of buying rentals when you first got interested?
The broker that I worked for, there was one day in particular sticks out in my mind where I was in the office and I'd just been kind of checking on some sales and things. And I had noticed that the condos at Harbor Lights at the time were selling for around $60,000. So that was around 2014 or 2015, I think. And I knew, in the public remarks, they would mention like, okay, rents for, and I believe at that time they were renting around 900 to 1,200, somewhere around there. And so just back of the napkin math, I was like, man, I'd been looking at these things for years and just thinking like, they seem like good investments. Like they're almost free, right? And you just rent them out. So I'd mentioned to my broker, hey, what do you think about this place? Like you got to be able to make some cash flow. And she said something along the lines of like, oh, you don't want to go anywhere near that place. First off, you can't get a mortgage, there's no way to get finance there. and you don't want anything to do with it. It's just nothing but headaches and you'll never make money there, sort of thing. And so, unfortunately, I listened. I just assumed that, it's really easy to get mixed up with, for me at least, seeing somebody that is in a position of being a professional and being qualified in one thing doesn't necessarily make you qualified in another aspect of the business. And at that time, I wasn't able to see that differentiation. So her being a broker made her very qualified in rental, in sales and managing property and in, that aspect of the business. But she was not somebody that I should have been going to for advice on how to create financial freedom and invest in real estate.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a really good lesson. It's like you really got to be careful who you take advice from.
Exactly. And I like to share a quick story. Was the second rental that I bought was a total dump. I mean, it was just disgusting. It had not been, it had the original carpets from 40 years ago. It smelled just so bad that one of my contractors I brought there, covered his face with his shirt the whole time. Then he walked out in the hallway after and he said, "I'm sorry, I can't help you with this." That's how bad it was.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I later on found out that unit was managed by my old broker that told me that I didn't want anything to do with Harbor Lights.
Wow.
And so I think there's kind of like a little bit of connection
there.
You can't blame her for the condition because obviously the owner is the one that has to choose to update the place. But that's what she was dealing with at Harbor Lights.
Yeah.
So that's what probably gave her the impression of this place is horrible. And she wasn't making any more money because of it. She's making her 10% but she's doing a lot, it's a lot more headaches for her.
Now, let me ask you this. When you were serving on the board of the condo association, did that help you find any deals?
No, I wouldn't say that directly helped me find deals, but that was just one of the ways of getting really involved in the community. I wasn't serving on the board for any other reason other than that by that time I had bought a couple of units there and that was all of my life savings was invested there. And so I needed to make sure that I had some kind of control over my future, so I needed to make sure that I had an input and had a say in what they did. So, and I'm really happy I did that.
I think that's really smart.
I did get to know people by being on the board and make more relationships. And I don't know if I directly bought a unit from, having been on the board, but I definitely have bought units just from being, communicating with the other owners and being active in the community.
I think that's really good that you got involved because a lot of people that own properties in condo associations or homeowners associations, they look at the association as the enemy where they don't have to be. You can do what you did and get involved and have a say in things. So I think that was really smart on your part to get involved and to give your 2 cents and to get things done that you want to get done.
Yeah, and I wish I could still serve. It is time consuming. It takes a lot of time to serve on the board, and that was the main reason why I stepped down. I wasn't able to commit the same amount of time, but I would definitely recommend it for anybody that is investing in condos. It's a great learning experience too.
If you want to reach out to Greg, I've got his contact information on the website. You can find it at rentalincomepodcast.com/episode 364. If Greg inspired you and you're ready to buy your very first rental property or you want to add to your portfolio, the lender that I recommend is our sponsor today. It's Chaley Ridge from Ridge Lending Group. Chaley is a nationwide lender, and her specialty is helping investors finance rental properties. She has a ton of different loan programs, and she can find something customized to you for your situation. If you want to find out more or you want to set up a time to talk to Chaley personally, just go to ridgelendinggroup.com. That's RIDGE lendinggroup.com, NMLS 42056. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast today. Make sure you follow the show. We put out new interviews every single Tuesday. And if you follow or subscribe, you'll get notified as soon as the next episode comes out. My name is Dan Lane, and this has been the Rental Income Podcast.